Okay, so here's a quick video that I know is going to save somebody a ton of aggravation down the road. File this one under old school knowledge, right? Build yourself a gasser. So this way, anytime you've got to pull the trans for whatever reason, you do it right there on the floor. No jacking necessary, all the room in the world under there. No, that's not it. That's not the tip. But it is one of the things I love about this car. Yeah, complete access to everything underneath. And I dare the safety Nazis to tell me to stick a jacks in under there now. So what I want to talk about is extracting a bolt, a fastener with rounded corners. Something that's stripped. You can't get a socket on there. It won't come. But before I do that, let me give you the quick update on the car and everything that's going on right now. So we got the converter from Shane, and we're going to swap this thing in now. Nice fresh 4,500 RPM converter, and that should solve our issues. Pulled the old one out last night. So here's what happened with this one. When we first put it in the car last year, it was tight. It was tighter than it should have been. And the more we used the car, the tighter and tighter it got, until obviously there was definitely a problem. There was no stall speed, like 1,200 RPM. So we pulled this out last night, and there's no obvious signs of trauma or anything like that. No bluing, no ballooning. Everything is, the fluid is pink and it smells good. But what we have here is, if you look down there, you got the splines, right? So you should be able to take your finger, push it against the splines, and rotate that stator in one direction, but not the other. It's got like a one-way clutch in there. So you should be able to rotate it easily in one direction, but not at all in the other. And in this case, it won't budge in either way. So something went bad inside there. We're going to send this back to Shane, let him cut it open, figure out what went wrong, and fix it. And then we've got a nice spare converter. Or maybe we'll start another project. I don't know. No more projects. So that's where we're at with that. Now, in order to use the new converter, we have to change the flex plate, because the new converter takes a different flex plate than the old converter did. So we climb underneath there last night with our impact gun and start taking out bolts. And 5 of the 6 come right out. Zip, 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 zip. The 6th one won't budge. It's tight, but tight isn't the problem. The problem is the corners are rounded. So now how did this happen? And this is something, okay, so what we're talking about here really applies to any type of fastener, but you will find it commonly on automatic transmission flex plate bolts, the flex plate to the crankshaft, because they're, generally speaking, they're very shallow bolts. They're hardened steel, shallow bolts. And that's what we have here. So this is one of the bolts that came out of there. And now you can see, if you look at the corners of this bolt, you can see that they're shiny, which means they're starting to round. And you notice that the shiny part is to the top, not really to the bottom. Now, how does that happen? All right. Sockets, and wrenches too, all have a bevel. So you see that bevel right there? That's so that it goes on the fastener nice and easy, right? The bevel kind of guides the socket into place. But that bevel, if you're talking about a shallow-headed bolt like this one, that bevel takes up, half the real estate of that bolt. So the bolt itself is only coming in contact with just a small fraction of the walls and the corners of this socket with the standard bevel. This is just a regular standard impact socket. So what happens is, after a time or two, it rounds the corners. And in this case, it rounds the top of the corner. So even if you, wait, I'm getting ahead of myself. So you've got a bolt that's got rounded corners. And again, it doesn't have to be a flex plate bolt. This could be an exhaust manifold bolt, or any bolt, a suspension bolt, but the corners are rounded. So what's the very first thing that you do? Well, typically, you'll go to the next smallest size metric socket. Now that's if you're dealing with a standard fastener. So you would go to the next smaller size metric socket, a 12 point, and you take this and you hammer it onto the bolt. And there's a good chance between the tight fit of the smaller size socket and the hammering to shock it loose a little bit, there's a good chance this will work. But in our case, no, not going to happen. So that's out of the picture. The next thing you could try is taking the bevel off the socket, which you should be doing anyway if you're dealing with this type of bolt. So you take the socket and you grind away the bevel, so that this way you've got 100% engagement between the walls of the socket and the sides of the fastener. In our case, that did not work because the fastener, the way it was rounded, as you applied torque, even without the bevel, as you applied torque to it, it was just wanting to ride off the top. So you couldn't push it hard enough onto the fastener to get it to actually grip. It just wanted to slide away. So what do you do? Now in this situation, and often, it's not practical to use heat, because one of the things you can do is you can weld something to the bolt and use that to get it off, or you could heat the fastener to like a red until it's hot, and at that point it'll kind of lose its grip. When it cools off, you should be able to just take it out by finger, but that's not always practical, you know, given the position of something, or if you don't have a welder handy or a torch handy, you know, what are you going to do? So this is what you do. So this was the bolt in question. And what we did here was we cut away, the first step was to cut away 1/3 of the bolt. So we took our grinder with a cutoff wheel and we cut away 1/3 of the bolt. Now what that'll do is that'll give us a flat surface that we can put our punch against and start tapping it in the direction to loosen it. Right? That generally works 100% of the time. In this case, this bolt was tight. Like, it was really tight. It didn't want to budge. So we took another pass with our grinder, with our cutoff wheel, and we cut another 1/3 of the bolt away. So now with almost all of the head cut away, and remember, the head being forced against the item, the thing that you're trying to fasten, that's tightened down to it, this is where all of the clamping takes place, on the underside of the head. So if you reduce the area of the bolt that's actually doing the clamping, well, obviously it's going to get continuously easier and easier. So once we cut away the second 1/3 of the bolt, we were able to get our punch on here and just a couple of easy taps, and then the rest of it just came out by finger. Simple stuff, right? But you know, in the heat of battle, you know, a newcomer or somebody who's just like cutting their teeth on this stuff may not think of that. Yeah, I know you old timers, not only have you done that 1,000 times, but you have your own methods, and actually put them in the comments. Put them in the comments, because, you know, every little bit of knowledge, every little bit of experience helps. So, but anyway, I hope you got something out of that. I hope that saves you a bunch of aggravation and cursing and screaming and possibly broken parts and half a day wasted trying to get a simple, stupid bolt out. I'll see you tomorrow.